Hi there, guys. Petra Williams here, the founder and host of the Firey Petra Williams Show. And this is an introductory episode just to tell you what the show is about. So we have a mission to give you the knowledge to make better choices, to live a life that makes you feel alive. And it's inspired by a quote by Joseph Campbell, which comes from a book called The Power of Myth. And the quote says, "People say that what we're seeking is a meaning for life. I don't think that's what we're really seeking. I think what we're seeking is an experience of being alive, so that our life experiences on the purely physical plane will have resonance with our own innermost being and reality, so that we actually feel the rapture of being alive." And I can tell you that in my 10 years of coaching people and in having traveled to 42 countries and met thousands and thousands of people, that is truly what I think we are all seeking. We are seeking our truth. We are seeking that thing that makes us feel most alive. We are seeking our genius. And when we come from that genius, when we're living our genius and we come from our truth, we genuinely feel alive and fulfilled all the time. We wake up in the morning excited for the day. And you're like, come on, Petra, you can't be happy all the time. And you can't be excited all the time. Yes, you can. And often people misunderstand me when I say this. So when you are living in your genius, that does not mean you don't encounter challenges or setbacks. Because come on, man, we're all navigating this life. And there's other people who come into our lives and won't do what we tell them to do. And it's so annoying. But the great thing about it is when you're living in your genius and you're living your truth and you're living a life that makes you feel alive, the challenges are welcome because you know they make you stronger. You know that they make you better. You know that they are going to help you be more in your genius. So it's a different framing of challenges and setbacks, and it's exciting. And I tell you that when you do live in your genius, you attract people who will help you live in your genius, and you will attract people who are living in their genius. And so often people say to me, or you've heard it yourself, is if I lived in my genius, I couldn't make money from that. I can promise you hands down, when you're living in your genius and you're practicing your unique ability, the money flows to you in avalanches of abundance because no one can do it like you. And quantum physics, when you're feeling alive, when you have got momentum, money just is attracted to you. Money is attracted to high energy. Money is attracted to abundance and exuberance. And when you're living a life that you're excited about, money just flows to you. So don't believe any of that other hogwash that people tell you, right? And when you are living your genius, you're living a full, rich, and happy life. And honestly, man, you have met people who are living their geniuses. They seem larger than life. Their eyes sparkle. They tall. They take up space. Like energetically, they fill a room. If we had to think about people that we all sort of know, Oprah Winfrey is one of my favorites. I'm a total groupie. I've been following her for decades. She's so living in her genius, And sometimes you look at her and go, all she does is interview people, but she does so much more than that. She inspires people. She brings you knowledge. She just has this presence and she's living in her genius. Of course, there's people like Elon Musk and, there's Mel Robbins who's taking the world by storm at the moment. And of course, there's Tony Robbins, who's living in his genius and can stand on stage for, 15 hours and shout at you and inspire you and get you to vibe up, And only Tony can do it the way Tony does it. And so there are people out there who are doing it already. And I don't want you to get discouraged and think, oh, I could never do that. Because when you look at people in the element, that's decades of work that they've done there. But you don't have to stand on the world stage. But I can guarantee you, when you live your truth and you're in your genius and you feel alive, you will be living a big life. There is no way that you will be living a small life. Opportunities will flock to you. Money will flock to you. People will flock to you. It is quite incredible how this all works. So I have 3 intentions with this podcast. The first one is to help you find your genius, okay? So I bring you guests that either help you let go of everything that's stopping you from living in your genius, or they give you opportunities to explore different ways of identifying your genius. Oh my goodness, guys, I really vet the guests quite stringently. I have a very stringent pre-interview process. This is my 3rd podcast now, right? So I learned a lot from my others, and I really bring you people who embody their own genius, who embody their truth. And I have to make sure that that's true, because I would never want to present you with someone who's just talking the talk, right? Because there's so many people who they just talk the talk, but then when you look at their lives, they're not in their genius. You can see it, right? And so the people I bring you are really in their genius. And I don't mistake like being in your genius or always having to be loud and out there. You don't have to be an Oprah Winfrey or Tony Robbins to be in your genius. You can also be a quieter person and, be more in a subdued way. I say subdued because I'm high energy, right? But you don't always have to be rah-rah. But just being in that zone is just incredible. So I bring you these teachers so that you can work with them, guys. Not just to inspire you to listen to them. Please work with them. It is so important that you do the work. And one thing I've really found is, I have coached people for a long time. And for me, it's always like, if you could have done it yourself, you would have. Right? And also, why spend 5 years figuring something out when you can work with someone and figure it out in a month? Okay, so please use these very skilled, very talented people that I interview to help you find your genius and to live a life that makes you feel alive. Everything I teach, guys, I have a real gripe with the coaching industry at the moment. Everything's like most things are online. It's also exorbitantly expensive. Like, some programs are like 10 to 12 grand, and the dropout rate is so high with online stuff. It just is. And so my intention is to help you succeed and find your genius. But you do have to work with the teachers to do that in person. It's in-person stuff. Some of this stuff will be online, but most of this stuff's in person, right? So that's really important to know. So that's one of my intentions, is to bring you the people that will help you find your genius. I also really combine psychology and spirituality, neuroscience, pseudoscience, metaphysics, quantum physics, anything that I think has value and will help you find your genius and live your truth. I will explore that. For me, nothing's off limits. I love it all. I think it's interesting. I think it's valuable. And we all have such different ways of processing things. So I bring you teachers from all spectrums. Our slogan is weekly wisdoms with sass, soul, and science, right? So I don't discount anything. If I believe that there's value in it, I will bring it to you. And I'm constantly learning and researching. Trust me on this one, guys. That is one of my gifts, is that I have this knack for finding good knowledge, good information. interesting new research that really helps you let stuff go or reframe things. When things become mainstream, they get a bit lost. But for me, it's all about being practical. I'm not here to just give you information. It has to be practical. I have structured the interview so that I speak to one specific problem, and then we use the information from the guest to see how we can solve that problem. Because for me, I just really don't want it to be another information podcast. I really need you to be able to take this knowledge, add meaning to it in your life, and then to implement it. Without us adding meaning to the knowledge, then we don't implement it, right? So that's why I look at a situation or a problem and I go, what's this problem? And then I speak specifically to that problem, yeah? So that's really what's important to me. The second intention is to provide you with a community that helps you live in your genius. Man, it's so easy to sleepwalk through life. It's so easy to buy into the lies that life is supposed to be mediocre and hard and tough, and that it's not possible to feel good all the time. But man, having the support of people who see a genius in you. Sometimes we can't see it in ourselves, but a support system that says, hey man, you're really great at articulating these things, or you're really good at asking questions, and man, you're really great at, I don't know, cutting people's hair. I don't know what it is. It can be anything, right? Just having that support system there to encourage you to stick to your genius. It's also a community that says, no, we are not here to sleepwalk through life. No, we are not here to be mediocre. No, we refuse to buy in to the falseness that this is a bad world and a tough world. We say yes. We say yes to supporting each other. We say yes to a big life. We say yes to being in our genius, to feeling alive. And I was inspired by Summit in the USA. I love these guys, Summit.co. They are so phenomenal. I read their book, Make No Small Plans, and they sort of started bringing the young entrepreneurs together, and really found the value in the collective. And this is when these are like the founders of Google, like really big brands that you now know, but these were all startups, and they would bring these guys together, startups together, and then would bring in a very well-known person. But it was all about facilitating the connection and the support we need to be able to grow and thrive. And I thought, wow, that's really wonderful. I'm creating that too, just with the intention of helping people find their genius so they can live a life that makes them feel alive. So we are called the Conscious Generation. You can totally join it by jumping on fireypetrawilliams.net. Join there. It's all in person, guys. So even if we're not in your city at the moment, we're definitely going global. So sign up there. I promise you will not get any autoresponders. You will not get a plethora of emails. It is literally just designed to give you the podcasts, first of all, to send them to you so you don't have to go through the painful process of trawling through all of them. And then also to give you the community. There's such power in the collective. And I know often with phones and things, we can do so much on our own. But speak to anyone who's highly successful, and you will hear that they had mentors and groups, and you actually live up to the level of the people in your environment. So if everyone around you is living their truth and in their genius and feeling alive, you are encouraged to do the same. Because if everyone around you is not, then it's hard to elevate yourself, right? So this is really why I created the Conscious Generation. And so the third thing is also really to give you a reason to get offline and to start experiencing life. We spend so much time online. I remember years ago, one of my nephews came over. He moved over from New Zealand to Australia. And he was having a bit of trouble, a young man in New Zealand. He came over to stay with us. And, and he wouldn't leave his room. Like, he physically did not leave his room. It was so random. Anyway, we finally dragged him out to the pub. And he sort of said to me, Petra, Sydney is missing something. And I started laughing. I'm like, how would you know? And he says, I read it online. I said, darling, you read words on the screen. I said, you have no idea. You've never even left, you haven't even left the suburb, But that's what we all do. We all sort of think because we are watching the videos and listening to the podcasts and reading stuff online that we are actually living, but we are not. We are not living. So all the teachers and everything they teach you is experiential. You have to experience it. I promise you, once you get offline and you start doing the very cool things like tantra and releasing emotions and oh my goodness, like sweat lodges and what else have we got there? Like meditation and plant medicine and all those exciting things that are way out of your comfort zone. Of course, they're supposed to be. Your genius doesn't sit in your comfort zone, right? When you start doing those things, I promise you, you will feel alive. Because when we grow and when we expand, we feel so alive and life becomes vibrant and awesome. So that is my third intention, is to get you offline. Now, of course, this almost sounds counterintuitive, right? Because you're like, well, if you're building a podcast, don't you want it to be shared? Don't you want people to listen to it? Of course I want it to be shared with the pure intention that I can reach more people. But if you listen to one episode and go, man, and you work with a teacher and you go, shit, that's my genius. And you go and live that genius, oh my God, my work is done, right? It is what I've done. I've very clearly labeled the episodes so that you can go back and go, what do I want to work on at the moment? What's really happening for me right now? What's stopping me from living my genius? Or what do I need to help me live more in my genius? And read the titles of the podcasts well, because I have really labeled them well so you can know exactly what you're working on. So please, guys, as I said, if you are listening to one podcast after another, you're missing the point, right? The point is not for you to be inspired. It's moving you from inspiration to implementation. And to do that, you really have to go and experience these things, right? And it is super fun, right? One of the things I'm going to challenge myself to do is a sweat lodge, which is, I think, a combination of plant medicine as well. So, yeah, man, and it totally freaks me out because apparently you sit in this like very dark igloo thing with a very hot fire and you just sweat some shit out. And I'm experienced claustrophobia, so I was like, oh my God, that feels like I'm going to die. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that because the thing that freaks me out the most is the thing that's going to give me the greatest advancement. So let's do it together. Look. My genius is to inspire greatness in others by giving them exactly what they need to hear to move forward. And I also have this great ability, and we call it the jester archetype. Like the jester of a court was the kind of person who could tell the king exactly what was happening without being beheaded. So I have this knack for asking questions that people would rather die than ask. But I can ask it in such a way that just seems totally normal. So the podcast is one of the ways I am living my genius. And it's one of the ways that makes me feel alive. And so thank you. Thank you for listening and thank you for participating. Because, when we co-create together, it is super awesome. And I am so appreciative for this opportunity to give you the right knowledge, to make better choices, to live a life that makes you feel alive. So what's next? Well, of course, like with anything, please like and share and subscribe and follow and repost. And all of those things, because we release weekly episodes, so that you can then get that weekly episode and say, oh man, maybe this is something I'm working on. Maybe you can say, oh, my friend's working on this, or mum's working on this, or you can share it with each other. So please do that, so that we can really get the movement of the conscious generation going, of us all living our truth. And then, but most importantly, keep your eye out on the different episodes. Figure out what it is that you need to do to live your genius, and then go and create a life that makes you feel alive. That is probably the core intention, guys. Always the core intention is so you can make different choices, right? I want you to know that it is possible for you. It's not even possible for you. It is probable. You are here to be in your genius. You are here to live an abundant life. You are here to live your truth and live a life that makes you feel alive. Anyone else who tells you anything different is lying. I will thumb wrestle them to the ground. But I really want you to know that you have such talent, such gifts, such awesomeness inside of you, and you just need to believe that. And if you don't believe that right now, join the conscious generation, because we see it in you and we will help you see it too. I love you guys. As I said, thank you for listening. Thank you for spreading the gospel. Thank you for joining the movement. Thank you for doing the work that will help you live a life that makes you feel alive. So that's it from me, guys. So big hugs and sloppy kisses. Ciao.